All right, let's talk Michigan Wolverines football. This is a program trending in the right direction. A little bit of a transition rebuild last year, but phenomenal finish. And now, as we work our way through spring ball, we're starting to see the long-term trajectory of the maize and blue. And folks, it is looking really good. And we've got a great story to highlight just that. We'll get into that in just 1 second. But first, I'm Nick. That's Andrew. And this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, this Michigan Wolverines program, led of course by Sharon Moore, is heading into a massive offseason. We all understand that. Quarterback Bryce Underwood's the future of this program. Is he ready to play? Is he going to play? Most likely. But I think when you look between the lines, the most important thing is Bryce Underwood going to be really good? Is he going to be the franchise quarterback, so to speak, of Michigan for the next 3 years, maybe even four? Well, if you listen to the stars on this Wolverines squad, even on the other side of the football, they're all in on Underwood. Let's pull up this report courtesy of Athlon Sports. Bryce Underwood was compared to a Wolverines legend and national championship winner by star defensive back Zeke Berry recently. We haven't had a quarterback like that in a while, Berry said. I'll probably say since JJ McCarthy. I love it. It's been like 1 year, and that's a while. That's kind
Yeah.
of that's kind of funny. And I feel like having him out there and seeing what he can do, he's going to change this offense for us. Underwood has turned heads in practice, a development that has not been lost on Barry, the cornerback safety hybrid who made big plays for the Wolverines late in the season. I can see why he's rated like how high he is, Barry said. I mean, that guy's a worker, a competitor, a great quarterback. He's going to do a lot of great things for this university. It's always good when the media is really touting a freshman, certainly a quarterback. It's always good when the offensive line is, or the receivers are, and certainly when the coaches are. But I really love to see when the opposite side of the ball, because this time of the year, spring ball competition, things are getting really heated. And when the defense loves a freshman, or is at least impressed by a freshman, certainly at the quarterback position, that's a phenomenal sign for that freshman. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of this, but Michigan fans, you first in the comment section below. Obviously, Underwood is stealing the show in terms of being the new guy on the block to kind of retool this Michigan team to get this offense going in the right track. But what's another potential breakout star, not just on offense, but maybe this entire team, offense, defense, special teams, whatever? Who's a guy that you're expecting to really break out and have a nice 2025 season? Put that guy in the comment section below. But Miles, over to you now. What are your thoughts on this latest news out of Ann Arbor?
Yeah, and I think this is like obviously you said, this is good, refreshing. You want to get, like almost like a three-sided approach to things. Like if you can corner it from three different angles, really break it down, and it shows, it's probably more likely than not the truth. If you outside sources, the media are saying it, if coaches are saying it, and then maybe even a player from, like you said, the opposite side of the ball. It's a defensive minded player who doesn't really, they care about the quarterback, but it's like, hey, we just want to make the defense really good and everything else is auxiliary after that. I think this shows that, we're hearing from every direction that you look, people are talking really, really good about Bryce Underwood. And I think that is a good sign for Michigan going forward. And I love what you talk about. They say, JJ McCarthy, it's been one long year since we won the national championship with JJ McCarthy, but, we're finally back. So good that they, come in and they feel like Underwood is a guy that can bring them back because his team's not too different from that JJ McCarthy year. Still a very talented team, very talented defensive players, Zeke Berry being one of those guys. So I think that this team is really setting up nicely. And if Bryce Underwood is that guy, if he's the next JJ McCarthy, that athletic phenom quarterback able to come out there, make a ton of big plays for this team, if they can get that spark out of Bryce Underwood like they did with McCarthy, I really think that this team is on a very good trajectory. And, we talk about it, Barry talks about it, other guys talk about it, but lately there's another report that came out talking about spring practice, you looking at it, and this was On Three's Pete Nakos, really said some good stuff, talked about the quarterbacks and what he saw so far, and this is simply what he said. When asked about Bryce Underwood, one sentence, that's it. He said, he's going to be the guy. So that was it. That's his iteration of everything culminating in spring practice so far from what he's seen from other quarterbacks. A lot of Jaden Davis, I think, is the only other guy that's active on this quarterback right now. I believe Davis Warren is sidelined from the ACL injury, and then Mikey King hasn't really started practicing as well. They see Bryce Underwood already. They don't need to see anything else. He's the guy. This is going to be the guy leading this team going forward. So I feel really good about that. And if I'm a Michigan fan, I'm really liking it because, like I said, bring it back to that approach. When you hear it from the outside, When you hear it from the offensive and coaching side of things, then you hear a defensive player, that three-pronged approach. You hear it three different ways. There's got to be a little bit of truth to how good this guy has been in practice. And the one person is gonna, let the truth be known in that series of things. You'd either hear some things from Sharon Moore and people saying, well, it's going to be a competition. There's going to be we're not sure who the quarterback is going to be if that was the case there. Or you wouldn't hear anything from the defense if he wasn't doing that good. Or the media would say, it's an interesting quarterback battle here in Ann Arbor. We don't know who's going to win. Maybe Davis Warren comes out of nowhere and takes the whole thing. You'd hear stories like that. But undoubtedly, everyone is just saying Bryce Underwood, he's the guy. So let that be it. He's going to be the guy. And I'm really excited for Michigan because of it.
Yeah, and there's a kind of an old saying is no one sacrifices their credibility for a lie when there's no benefit to them, right? So if you look at the analysts and the media and you look at the defensive side of the ball, it makes no sense for them to lie, right? They may do like coach speak and say, "Oh yeah, he's a good looking freshman. He's got a whatever they want to say about him. He throws a pretty football or whatever, making something up." Right. And the offensive side, right? Because they're their teammates, they're in the locker room every day, in the meeting room, practice field, all that stuff. They may be more inclined to stretch the truth if, let's say, Underwood wasn't looking as good as advertised. The media is certainly not, right? They make their living on credibility. So using Nakos as an example, if Underwood was really terrible, he wouldn't come out and say that, obviously. He wouldn't sacrifice his credibility. It's the same thing with Zeke here. If Zeke would not sacrifice his credibility as a leader and say Underwood's really doing amazing things, we're all really impressed by him, because at this point he has nothing to gain from it, right? It's not like he's on the meeting room, he's not in the quarterback room, he's not in the offensive meeting room. He's actually competing with them every single day. And I think that's a really important factor here is that during spring ball, and it gets magnified even more during training camp, is that any team, it gets clearly divided. I play D1 AA FCS, small time college football, and I can tell you this time of year, there's not one team, there's two. There's the offense and there's the defense, because that's who you're scrimmaging, that's who you're doing team period, inside drill, one-on-one pass rush, coverage opportunities, things like that, one-on-one receivers, DBs, all day, right? That's the entire mindset. And players are getting graded, moving up and down the depth chart based on how you're doing against your teammate, right? So there's that brutal competition. It almost becomes a game environment where you hate the other guy, even though the other guy's you, because he's between you and becoming a starter or becoming a more playing time or whatever. It gets brutally competitive. And so that's why I think it's very interesting that an opposite side, defensive player, is really hypercritical, or I should say positive about Underwood, because right now everyone on the defense for Michigan, I can say this, I was 4 years college football, it's so true, hates everyone on the offense. Everyone on the offense hates everyone on the defense, right? And it goes to the coaches too. The coaches hate each other. There's a funny story, where we were scrimmaging in spring ball one year, and the opposing I played offensive line way back in the day. An opposing defensive coordinator actually tried to call our play for his linebackers, and we actually gashed him anyway. And of course, the coaches were running and going crazy and talking smack the entire time, just because I think it gets so competitive, right? You're going up against your opposition, even though he's you. He's down the other side of the football during these weeks and months until you actually play the competition come the start of the regular season. And I think, again, when you have a guy in Zeke Berry here who's experienced, he's been around the block, and he's trying to kill the opposing offense, and the other guy's beating him up, and Underwood makes some great plays and great throws, things like that, good reads. This is not a sign of, hey, I'm supporting my teammate. This is a sign of respect. And I think that's very important for a young freshman who has so much expectations placed on him to earn the respect of the opposition, which is his defense right now, and earn the respect of the entire locker room. Because once a quarterback gets that, especially a young guy, then magical things can happen. It's one thing if the offense loves a guy and a quarterback loves the guy, but if the opposite side of the ball or other coaches aren't sold on the quarterback, divisions happen, splits happen. And it's one of those things. It's like the old adage, if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. Sometimes the defense likes a QB and the offense likes a different QB. That's how organizations and teams can fall apart. Now that we're seeing Underwood earning the respect of the defense, that's going to create a unified locker room when the regular season starts. Because when push comes to shove and those 100 some odd guys going up against everyone in the Big Ten, they're going to need a leader at the quarterback position that defense, offense, special teams coaches, boosters, band, everybody, student body is fully behind. And right now, based on these comments, it seems everybody will be fully behind Bryce Underwood, not because they're forced to be, but because he's earning it.
Yeah, and again, I think that goes underrated is that people, come in, it's a young freshman, he's new to the team. It's easy to, ride the freshman hard, just be like, well, the Sharon Moore and everyone can come out and be like, But you got to earn it. You got to earn it. You got to earn it. And I think they would do that if it came to that point. But I think what we're seeing here is just Bryce Underwood has been so impressive. He's done all of the right things thus far. And it seems like he's indicated that he has earned it. And it's like you said, I think you bring up great points that the defense, in spring ball and everything, you're battling. You're two different tribes, two different clans. You're going up against each other. It's a battle. So, unless this guy has earned the respect this point in the season, they wouldn't come out and give him his flower. So I think that's the key here is Bryce Underwood has earned what the fanfare, the respect of his teammates, the respect of this coaching staff so far. He's come in early on. We kind of heard, stories about them saying, well, let's see what happens. We got a lot of quarterbacks on the roster, but now they've been through a few practices. We've seen things develop. We've seen how he's treated this team and his approach going to it forward. I think everybody's saying he's earned it. They're happy with where he's at with things so far. And now they're saying, all right, this is our guy. Let's start to rally behind him. So I think it's a good sign. Michigan, they've got their quarterback. They've got the next leader of this team. Like you said, it was so long ago since they've had a great quarterback. I think, all the way back to the J.J. McCarthy years, this team has waited for another good quarterback to come in. But I think finally they got their guy, and that's undoubtedly Bryce Underwood.